Okay, I'm going to put together my my rifle here and do some of the more detail work for y'all on camera. So, putting my trigger together, I've got it taken apart here. I've got the trigger bolt ready to go. I'm going to put just a little dab of Loctite on here, just the teeniest amount. So I'm going to put a little bit on a paper towel. I'm going to take a little toothpick, where I can get just, don't want a lot. And I'm only caring about where the threads are going to engage down into the action itself. If I need to, I can just kind of speed it up and get a little bit more on there. Already shook that up. Okay, so I've got a little bit of excess. I'm just going to dab that off. I don't want it running. There's a big drip there. I'm going to dab that off. You can do this with a hair dryer. It'll kind of help as well if you need to. Okay, so I've got that Loctite more or less where I want it. Now this is Loctite. This is in this case the blue colored Loctite thread locker. It's intended to come apart if you need it to. It's not going to make a permanent bond here. If I need to take this off to service my trigger in some way, I can take that apart. I did forget one little piece here. I'm going to put my little mag detent back in here. And I can inspect how much that Loctite is getting in there or not. If I have any excess or residue, I can get that wiped off right now. I can already see I've got just a tad too much. Take that out. Use a quick little clean with the Q-tip. Sure it all looks good. Might as well while you got it. Tikka triggers are pretty much drop in ready. Just going to get lined back up. There we go. Make sure that lines back up with the grooves. I want that on there good and tight. This little metal detent here will try and walk on you, so I start it just a little bit canted to the counterclockwise side, so that when I'm tightening it into it, it's pulling it into the right position. Make sure it's lined up where I want it. And then I need to get my trigger pull set screw loosen back up just a turn and a half. And verify that that is not too light. I don't have any play with that trigger. I want it to be a nice light trigger pull, but still has to function properly. Let's get some, actually going to leave this titanium one in the short action configuration. Excuse me, in the smallest of the Tikka actions, the 223 size. I guess the T1 actually be the smallest. So this is the 223 chambered barrel here. Make sure I've got that set where I want it. Now I like to take just a little dab of fingernail polish and give myself a bit of a witness mark. I'm just going to put a little bit of that fingernail polish on my trigger screw, or my, excuse me, the trigger adjustment screw. So I make it enough that there's just a little bit of a bubble, so that if that ever moved, I'd see a crack in that. Once this this hardens, this fingernail polish hardens, I'd see just a little bit of a crack. I can do the same thing on the trigger, the bolt that holds the trigger in place. I can just put just a little dab. And then once that dries, I'll know, because I can actually look down through the trigger guard, and just I can shine a light in there and I can see if that ever moved. I can see if some vibration in the function of the rifle had worked its way loose or something like that. I'd be able to tell. So just a little witness mark. I want that to be a little bit dry if possible here. Okay, so I've already put my titanium recoil lug in this stock here, and I've already got my titanium action screws ready to go, and I've got the factory bottom metal here. I had on before the steel bottom metal from, I believe, Mountain Tactile, and it's an awesome upgrade. This is only a 223 and with the recoil and whatnot. I'm gonna see if I see a noticeable change in accuracy by going back to the factory. If I don't, I'm gonna keep that little bit of weight savings there. I'm gonna line up the recoil lug, set that in there. Take my action screws, line them up. My tool already not quite set in. Far enough, I don't think. It's not grabbing. And that front screw, it's probably not pulled all the way down onto the onto the recoil lug. sometimes it can be a pretty snug fit. So you can try tightening down the rear one just temporarily. See if that pulls it into place. Kind of leverage it in. And I'm going to loosen that rear screw back up a hair. And just where they're making contact. Now I like to tighten up my front screw a little bit and then my rear screw, and then just kind of rotate them back and forth, just, you know, half a turn at a time. Now factory specs do call for much lighter. I believe it's 40 or 45 pounds. I like to go heavier just to make sure nothing's going to move. In this case, I'm going to go 60 inch pounds, excuse me, on my little torque wrench here. And if at the end of the day, if I break my little plastic piece, I can always swap back to, you know, the metal bottom metal instead. But I'm going to get those snug down just a little bit. And I'm going to put my bolt in. I'm going to do a quick function check. Make sure nothing's binding. Feels nice and smooth as a Tikka should. Everything's functioning smoothly. Okay, so other than inserting my magazine and finishing tightening those down, I'd be pretty much done and ready to go, minus whatever improvements I intend to do with my stock. In this case, I'm also going to put just a dab of Loctite on my action screws. Again, I don't want them moving. And make sure they're torqued down properly. And then I'm going to add my little bit of just my little dab of fingernail polish, just again as a reference mark, before I was 100% done. But for our purposes here, because I'm going to take it back out, I'm going to mess with the stock a little bit more. That's the process. That's how I'm going to put everything back together. You know, I've got my bolt put back together. I've got my new bolt knob. I've got my bolt catch all set up properly, and everything else has been modified as I needed. If you have any questions, make them in the comments.